Voices Radio.
Estamos activos ya.
Yes, people, what's happening? It's the Club of Vibes, myself, D-Kel. It's been a while since I've been on Voices Radio. I'm glad to be back, man. Happy Wednesday. Forget hump day. It's all vibes here, man. But yeah, we're good. I got my special guest in the building. Punctual as well, man. Pablo Ortiz. Make some noise, the room. The three of us that are here. Alongside with his artist, Anna Maria. Okay, so before we get started, I'm going to play a track that I've been ringing off. I wasn't going to play it today because on my journey here, I probably played it like 1,000 times, but I came across this. It's a British Thai rapper. You don't hear that a lot. This is My Was There with Concrete, and then we're going to get into talking to my special guest. Enjoy.
Step for the back foot, shit doesn't matter, can't wait, too keen to be up in my levels. Got the toasters part to my face, now I jumped in the booth and everything gets settled. Level of hash, the G's then ball out.
Yes, people, that was Miles there with Concrete. Like I said, D-Kel, if you're just joining us, it's D-Kel, the Club of Vibes and Voices Radio. I'm here with Pablo Ortiz. How we doing, my bro?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much yet again for having me. Appreciate
Pleasure,
that.
Man. Pleasure to have you, man.
Yeah,
so yeah,
of
like
course.
we've never met. Most of my guests like I bump into. Like
Right.
we probably got a bunch of mutual friends, but
For sure.
how the universe is, we just haven't met yet. So I came across yourself through some A&R stuff I saw you doing, and then most recently Casita, which we'll get into later, which I'm
Yes.
excited to talk about. But so like I said, like off camera, like most of the people that I have on the show are artists, and it's not always the same, but a lot of artist stories are quite similar. Like,
For sure.
oh, there was music in my family, or my friends were doing music and that kind of thing. But in terms of like going into the industry, and which is quite a hard thing to do, and we'll get into like A&R, especially in this day and age, but why and how did you think I'm gonna get into like, I don't know, finding talent or curating talent? Like, how did that journey start for you?
It's a great question because I always loved music. It was always something that I would go to time and time throughout my life, whether my first dream was to be a professional football player like many people from Southwest London. I made it to semi-pro. And I never really considered that there was a career route into music. No one I knew in my family or otherwise, my friends, had any connections to the industry itself.
Yeah.
But I was watching a show by Charlemagne, and he was doing a wrap up of everything in music, and it hit me like a lightning bolt. I was like, they're actually getting paid to talk about music, so surely there's a way in for me, you know?
Yeah, fair.
So in about 3 months, I went to 60 events, and I went to open mics, festivals, event nights, and I started to realize that the niche of Latin music was really blowing up and it was really bubbling. However, there was many people that were big players, but in terms of A&Ring, in terms of honing, cultivating and showcasing talent, it was like a gap in the market.
Yeah.
So when I saw that there was a lot of opportunity there, that's when I started to see what an A&R was. I did some research and I came across so many great artists, and I saw everything that they were doing that they needed to improve on. And then from there, man, I've been doing this for 4 years, since 2020. And I'm just very grateful to still be in the space because this industry is all about relationships. It's all about
for real.
longevity. So yeah, in short, I never thought it would be possible before. I never considered it. However, when I saw that it was, I was like, okay, I got con ganas to do it. And I've never turned back since.
Wicked, man. And I guess it's one of those humbling things, because I guess as an artist, maybe not so now, you know, you've got the power of the internet, you can kind of just work in your bubble in your bedroom and
For sure.
graft. But I guess what you're trying to do is like, there's no way, obviously you can reach out to people on the power of social media, but I think there's a point you said there, like going to, how many events was it in 3 months?
60.
Yeah, crazy. So you really put yourself out there to network and
For
put
sure.
your face in people. And I think that's important in the UK, because obviously there's a lot of potential with Latin artists, but we're a
For
niche,
sure.
do you know what I mean? So
For sure.
yeah, I guess some people would be like, what, Latin people in the UK? Like now, you know, it's more popular and people are getting to know it and whatnot. So I guess it kind of shows that kind of work ethic, especially when you want to get into sort of the business side of the industry.
100%.
Yeah.
That's one thing that is so key in this industry. You need to want it more than you want to breathe. Like, you need to wake up in the morning and know that the next person could be younger than you that could take your spot. You know, you have to have that
for real.
competitive edge. And that's where my competitiveness comes from, is me being an athlete, knowing that
Okay.
if I'm going to do something, I'm going to be the best, point blank, period. You know,
Yeah,
that's just
yeah.
my confidence. So
So it's that proper, like that kind of mindset.
exactly.
I mean, it's the same
Mindset is
mindset.
so important. And not just in music, in life, you know, you need to tell yourself, I can, and then everyone else will believe it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Wicked, man. Well, from one working hard Latino to another, I want to play Melina Sanchez, Dame Tu Amor, taken from an EP, una Latina in Londres. If you don't know who she is, she was part of a quite massive podcast, The Free Recipients.
Yes,
right?
The Free Receipts.
Yeah, The Free Receipts. Wow, that's bad.
it.
But I know she just launched her own podcast. But yeah, love the EP. And that's someone else that also has got many strings to her bow, as it were. So this is
100%.
Melina Sanchez, Dame Tu Amor.
Better shake that shit. Better shake that shit.
No te acuerdas como yo era antes, llena de dolor y de rencor. Tú querías verme cada tarde, pa' llenarme todito de amor. Sé que tú me amas, sé que tú me quieres, mami, sé que tú me amas. You're the only one for me. Cuando tú me llamas, me siento calmada, babe, babe. Nena, por tus besos yo me muero. Sin estar a mi lado, yo te siento.
Yes, people, that was Melina Sanchez with Dame Tu Amor. Really like that one. We were just saying off camera, man, and off mic that I think she's got a very bright future ahead of her, man. She's doing a lot, man. And I think that's a good example of someone that is putting that work, man. So
100%.
big up her, man. So one question I want to ask you, kind of explained like how you got into the A&R world. You see, like when I'm at the pub and I've had a few and I start talking about music, I like to think I'm an A&R. Like I think I could run the industry. And
Yeah.
Then it just, my wave, I was like, nah, that's long. And then the idea you had was really good. I was like, nah, bro, do you know what? Nah.
Yeah.
But, and I think I've got a good ear for music. I hope I have. Let me know if you're not enjoying the show. But in terms of what is it that you look for in an artist? Like, what's that kind of, like, what is that thing? Because there is a lot of talent out there. And I was just saying to my boy actually just now that there's so many people that are like, good, like they're very good. Like they might have lyrics, they might have flow, they might have a decent voice, or they might have an amazing look. But sometimes they just miss that kind of quality, and I think it's like a connection that they have with the public. There's like a disconnect,
Right.
And I think there's a lot of artists like that.
Well said.
Like someone was talking about on another podcast that there's a lot of artists out there, but they got great, crazy streams, big social media presence. And that, I'm always curious about those artists because then I'll go to a show, it doesn't correlate, the numbers don't correlate.
Right.
And I think it's interesting, like, why doesn't that translate? Is it because most of their fan bases are not in the UK? Like, why doesn't it work? Or you get an artist with a cult following that's got much smaller social media, but it will sell out their whole small European tour. So,
Right.
Going back to my point, see, this is what I mean. I think I'm an A&R. But what is that sort of star quality you look for when you're kind of finding?
That's a great question. So in terms of technically speaking, from a perspective of singing, I look for something in terms of tone that is quite unique. So if you look at Shakira, for example, like she has an inflection in her voice that is hers and hers only. The same with Karol G, the same with Becky G, like all of these people that we have come accustomed to hearing. We know their signature sound. Another thing is something you can't really cultivate until you actually sit down with someone and explain to them, look, you need to make sure that you're likable. You need to make sure that when you're in whatever major building, whether it be Sony, Universal, or Warner, people don't think that you're too arrogant. People don't think that you've lost touch with reality, that you remember where you came from, where you started, and why you're doing what you're doing. So the star quality has to be in a personable way, that someone can be introduced to an executive or someone in the canteen and they treat them with the same respect, you know? In terms of dancing, that's very important as well, because dancing is, since social media has come into the fold, a lot of the dance community has a big spotlight and platform. So someone that can sing, someone that can dance. For me, star power is if you can be performing in front of 1,000 people, but every single person feels like you've had at least 1 second to look them in the eye and connect with them, that's a star. You know, I went to Karol G when she performed, you know, in the O2. I felt like I had a moment with her, even though she, you know, she was like so many.
But she created that atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? For me, because our music is very cultural and it goes way past Anglo music, you know, music that's purely in English. For us, we have memories of growing up and waking up on a Sunday and hearing salsa. Do you know? So for us, it's more of like bachata, salsa, merengue, cumbia, all of these things. It's an amalgamation of our identity.
Yeah,
you know.
I think
So
you touched
yeah,
that in there. That's
100%.
solid, because like literally what you just said, like my mum would be limpiando la casa when I wake up.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah.
like you just hear that salsa. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
it's definitely that sort of thing where it's deep rooted. It touches
Yes.
you when you hear something sonically.
100%.
Places. I think it's those little things that like make you connect deeply. And I think
100%.
yeah, if music should do two things, should connect with you deeply, in my opinion, and also give you that escapism.
100%.
Like, I spend a lot of money on shows because we all live this rat race, we're all busy, we all got problems, good, bad, whatever. But for that 45 minutes when I go to a gig,
Yeah.
I want to escape.
Yeah.
I want to forget about all that. And like you said, I want to feel connected. I want to feel welcomed.
100%.
So you're here with your artist.
Yes, Anna Maria, do you mind coming? Is she okay to?
Yeah.
Yeah, so with Anna, the reason why I decided to work with her is because when we sat down and spoke to each other about where we wanted to see our ambitions and where we wanted to go, she said that she wanted to be great. And she said that she wanted to perform in front of thousands in stadiums. And that's the type of ambition that makes a great artist.
Yeah.
If you look at the Beatles, if you look at Prince, if you look at Michael Jackson, they all knew before, even, you know, iconically, you got someone like, you know, what's his name? He made Channel Orange. Se me está escapando la cabeza. Frank Ocean.
Oh, yes.
He notoriously put on Tumblr a letter to himself in the future of everything that he would do.
Yeah, crazy.
So yeah, Anna, feel free to introduce yourself, because you know my job as a manager is to spotlight Anna.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Anna Maria. Thank you for having me here.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
100%.
So Anna, what's it? I speak to a lot of artists, some, you know, fully independent, do everything themselves. Some have managers, some good managers, some bad managers, had managers. Your relationship with so how long have you guys been working together?
3 months now.
Oh, 3 months. So like it's like probation period for you. Like, have you felt sort of, I don't know how much music you was doing before you met, but have you felt sort of the benefit, or what is it that a manager does for you that helps you along the way? Because I guess I'd see it very like logical, like at least now I can just concentrate fully on the music. All the business side of stuff I've trusted with someone that can put me in business positions that are safe and gonna have my best interest at heart, especially when you start walking into labels and all this stuff. You can get excited and blinded by you know, corporate stuff. But yeah, what would you say is sort of like the key things that you felt like benefit working with a manager?
Well, I've always had like the creative side down, you know, the writing, or making content. Like I'm not going to say TikToker, but
content creator.
That's way better. Thank you. I'm a content creator. And so, you know, I've always had that creative side in me. The only thing I need, like, as you said, was someone to help me with the business side of it, because I felt like as much as I could educate myself, I still wasn't at that level to start making it, you know,
and it's not your passion,
making it official, right? Yeah, like that part doesn't interest me too much, but I know it's just as important.
Of course.
And I always said to my mum and my friends, my parents, I was like, I'm ready to go. I just need someone who knows a bit more about the business side to like have my back, and I need someone like that. And I just didn't know how to find someone, where to start looking, who to trust, because I've worked with people before, but the wrong people, you know, and I thought I was moving forward, but I wasn't actually going anywhere. And right in that moment, that's when I met Pablo, actually. And he literally came at the right time, and now things have started. And
I guess at the moment you're kind of in an interesting place, because you're sort of working behind the scenes, working on your craft, doing sort of a lot of behind the scenes meetings and networking. And I'd say the UK Latin scene is it's still a baby, but it's in a healthy position, because I think maybe a few years ago, a lot of UK Latin artists were there, but they weren't putting out music as consistent as they are now. I guess what my question is that for you, just observing at the moment, like, you know, what's happening in the Latin scene and the music that's coming out, where do you see yourself sort of fitting in? Yeah, where do you see sort of your, you know, where you want to be? Or is it that there's a lot of artists that I speak to and they say, actually, no, the UK's cool, but I want to conquer Europe instead, or I want to cross over to America. What's kind of your take on that? Like, what's your vision?
Well, I want to conquer the world, you know, without sounding like too big-headed or whatever, but like that's the dream. But obviously I would love for you know, Europe, and I would have to travel Europe and the States and all of that. But I think because I grew up in the UK, like to have the audience here as well would mean a lot to me, because we would finally have that representation. Like you said before, we are starting to get it more, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done till we're like fully recognized that Latinos are in London, you know? And so to have the people here like acknowledge it, and not just Latinos, but other people in the UK. Like I had friends at uni. I have friends from uni, and they've said that I was the first Latina they've ever met. So not even Colombian, like first Latina ever that they've ever met. And that was already, we're now 19 and they hadn't met one before. And so not just getting the Latinos' attention, but everyone's.
It's funny you say that actually, because I'm not going to give away my age here, but it's been a while since I was in uni here, but like I remember I was like the only Colombian guy. The people didn't know about Colombia apart from, you know, stereotypes and whatever's on Netflix. So a question for you both, I guess, is in the landscape of like Latin music and what you guys are doing, what are your next steps? Is it, are we looking to release this year? Is it that we're still sort of cooking in the kitchen? Like what is the plan? Without giving out too much, because I know you've got your plan and campaign.
So what I can say for sure is that we're tapping into our heritage when it comes to the genre. So we do have a salsa song that we will be releasing soon. Yeah. And that will be packaged with a very iconic venue that does salsa. Yeah. So just to go back to the question that you had for Anna, because I love that question, the lane that Anna is in is that she represents what it means to be a British Latina in London that is a personification of Latin excellence, because for the last 2 years, she's built her socials up and she has like 410,000 on TikTok, right? Yeah. And if you go to majors, you know, that's one part of the marketing that they spend a lot on, you know, and she's done it organically. So the lane that Anna sits in is, what we want is when Anna has her videos released on YouTube, when Anna has her radio interviews like this, other little girls or little boys that are Colombian or Ecuadorian or Peruvian or wherever in the diaspora of South America see it and they're like, oh, wow, it's possible because we're opening those doors. And I just want to take this moment to also acknowledge all the people that have opened the doors for myself, like Jose Luis.
Yeah, come on.
My mentor, Sharav De Silva at Two Tone, he didn't even have a department for Latin music. He made it for me because he believed in it. Do you know? I went to Miami because of him. I went to America, first in my family to go to America. And I say Florida is Latino Hollywood. I felt like that was my home. So just circling back to Anna, Anna will be a symbol and a personification of what it means to be excellent. And we won't be overlooked anymore. Like we will make sure that everyone knows that we're here to stay. And not only that, we're here to conquer.
Yeah, nice, man. Well said. And I think that is a very kind of smart move to start with something that's like a grass, you know, a deep-rooted genre like salsa. With my business head, I like to think that's a great way to get like the what do they call it, man? Not the credits, like the credibility to get those sort of people on side, and then you can branch out, do something more.
Yeah, I think it just brings everyone together as well. So it wouldn't be just for one group of people. Like you said, on Sundays or Saturdays, your parents blasting on the speakers, salsa, merengue, everything. And so there probably has been like salsas that have come out recently and stuff, but you don't really hear it as much as your reggaeton and urban music. And so I think it would be really nice to be able to bring that back for the new generation as well. Like I have a brother who's 12 and like, I want him to grow up as well. I mean, obviously, he's grown up the same way I have. The same salsas, but like, we're putting the same ones on and on and on. Obviously, they're classics. Of course. I love them. But,
I mean, you know, I got Hector Lavoe on my shirt.
Hector Lavoe on his shirt. But also, like, give a little something new to that genre as well, you know? Yeah. 100%. So I think it just brings everyone together. Everyone can listen to it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I look forward to giving it a spin when it's released, man. I'm excited to have you back on and we can chop up a bit, man. So from one talented lady to another, this is A Naomi with Ferrari.
Can you handle this Ferrari? Can you handle all this body? Can you handle this Ferrari?
Yeah, various people. There was A Naomi with Ferrari. I like that one. I think that's another artist that's got a very good work rate and a good team behind her, man. I think
100.
she's someone that's destined for great things. I think I went to a show once and I was amazed by her sort of cult fan base. She's got like actual die-hard fans, like which is, for me, that's rare because I grew up in a time like DGR, League of Maniaticos, like where there was only few far between, like Mike Kaji, like few far between. So you know, people didn't really know about them, and then I guess I guess it was a different time and there was no socials like that. But
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, man. So like like I said off camera at the start, man, the reason that caught my eye was that you spoke a lot about community and what that means to us, and obviously your new kind of venture now is that you've started is London's first Latin members club.
Yes, correct.
So yeah, how did that come about? Why? How long has it been in kind of development? How does it feel that now it's out there and you know you've got the events going, people enjoying? And what's your plan with it? And what makes it different from like any like random club?
Right. So I love that question. Let's start with that. So what makes like Casita the first Latin membership club in London is that it's all about community, and the whole reason why people should come through to Casita is that they have an opportunity to network. So what I do is for the last 4 years, my whole network, I've opened up to all the people that I've invited. So all the A&Rs, all the managers, all the artists, all the event organizers that I've met along my journey, I wanted to make sure that as a collective industry, we can grow by sharing those contact bases. Yeah. It's not just myself. I have 2 other co-founders. So a producer called Nige and someone that works in Universal Music Publishing in Good Child Management. And his name is Christopher.
Okay.
Yeah. So me and Nige and Christopher, we sat down and we said, how do we bring the level of awareness that we want to this community of Latinos here in London, especially in a creative sense. So when I went to Miami, I saw Latinos in lujo, like in royalty, like in settings where I felt like we were being appreciated, seen and admired, to be honest with you. So I wanted to bring that ethos of bringing the luxury of Miami to London and having Latinos come into a place that Boris Johnson using our venues like a lot, you know, like it's literally a private space that the public cannot access. So, you know, Latinos sometimes were not even on the registry form for Hispanic. So I wanted to create a space where we no longer need to ask for permission to be seen. We will be heard because we'll make noise, you know, in a sense of we're going to party hard, we're going to laugh, we're going to share our contacts, we're going to increase our value together collectively. So that's the ethos behind it. Yeah,
I think there's a lot to be said about that, like kind of making it that kind of special venue, that exclusive venue. One is a morale boost, you know, but also you feel special, do you know what I mean? You feel like, you know. And it's interesting, you mentioned Nige there, who if people don't know, he's quite a big producer. Do you know
For sure,
He's done some big things.
100%.
And did you say the other one was some odd child?
So he's from Universal Music Publishing.
Yeah, okay.
He's like in a subsidiary from there.
Yeah, so having those 2 people, I guess, not only in a business sense, but even as input of like developing a sort of curated event that's surrounded by music is probably very beneficial.
100%. We had Jay Huss pull up to the last one. You know, there's a song called Kehlani with Kehlani featured on the remix, and Jordan, the lead singer, he came through as well. We have had Mira May come through, Benji Flo, you know, and that's just off the strength of the fact that because there's a membership club, we've been doing it invite only, like personally. Yeah. But now, because we have, and this is an exclusive, we have our end of year one coming up in the 19th of November. And that will be open to the public.
Wicked,
you know?
Man.
So yeah, because my whole thing is the reason why we did invite only the first 2 times, which we exceeded the capacity of 220 both times as well, is that I wanted to cultivate the community first, and then when I'm opening it up to the public, they know what they're getting themselves into. You know, so it's been very successful, and I'm very grateful for sure. Yeah, man, that's an amazing team, and it sounds solid. And like I said, it was something that really caught my eye because it's one of those things that you kind of think, oh, why hasn't this happened before? Why hasn't no one started this like before? Like it's not a simple idea, but it makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? And a lot of people did say that. They were like, "It's such a great initiative. I can't believe people haven't done this before." And you know what? For me personally, it's because of the financial risk that one has to take when they do this type of event.
Yeah.
And for me, for the last 4 years, and this is something that's important for anyone listening or that will watch this after, if you want to get into music, just know that you would most probably need to have a good amount of money to put into it.
Yeah.
Whether it's A&Ring, whether it's managing, whether you yourself are an artist, you need to invest in. And that will take time and money and effort and a lot of ups and downs, peaks and valleys. This game is very tough. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to just focus on the goods. It's important to get a balanced view that this is going to take a lot of work, you know? So and it's important to point it out.
And that's a next segue into my next question I always ask. So I always ask you 2 questions. What is the one thing, not necessarily in the Latin music scene, just in the music industry in general, that frustrates you, feels like there needs to be a change?
A lack of willingness to learn about the business side, a lack and ignorance to be okay with not knowing what things mean in a contract, you know, because there is a book called Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business by an author called Donald S. Passman. And that's like the music Bible that I would recommend to anyone that is considering going into the industry. Yeah. Because I'll give you an example. If you were to tell me I'm about to open up a store and it's about to be a fruit store, but then you tell me I have no idea about how I'm going to make sure that the exportations of the fruit is making sure that my margins are healthy, I'd be like, then why are you going to start it? You're not going to be business savvy into doing that. And you're just going to go into the red. Yeah. It's just preparing yourself, and don't just copy what you see on socials. Yeah. When it comes to the marketing, don't be like, congratulations, you found da 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 da. We've seen it 1,000 times. It's like played out. Have some creativity and have some belief that if you have ideas that are outside the box, try them. Don't be scared to try new things. 100%.
I guess obviously you're dropping a lot of gems there. We appreciate it.
There's
gonna be some good reels in this one, Gray. I guess on that is obviously there's a lot of tools for, you know, if someone woke up tomorrow and they say want to make music, there's already tools at their disposal which are free. For sure. But it can be quite overwhelming because there's just so much. Like, there's a lot. And like we touched on, you'll get artists that specifically just want to be creative. But what would you say is like maybe 2 or 3 things, like staple things that before they even press record on a mic that they should do for themselves?
Make a 6-month plan. Okay, in detail, make a 6-month plan, and then out of that 6-month plan, see where you're aiming to go, see your direction. So in that 6-month plan, if you want to do 1 show a month, that's 6 shows. That means that you then have to train yourself. That means that you have to even work on your fitness, because being on stage, you know, if you're a rapper, you're going to be back and forth. If you're a singer that's doing ballads, you need to train your diaphragm. So just make a 6-month plan, and then from that 6-month plan, reverse engineer it and be like, okay, cool. So that means I need to have this box ticked. I need to find this videographer. I need to find this studio space, you know? So before even recording any music, just think, where do I want to go? And then, do you know what? I will say, stay true to your mission, make a purpose and write it down. Think about, why am I doing this? Because at the end of the day, I like to say I open my connections and doors open to many people, because when I pass, those connections are going to stay with me. All of those relationships are not just going to stay with me. They're going to be for the future generations that will come after. They'll be like, oh yeah, I remember Pablo introduced me to this person, and out of that, I got this, you know? So I really want to say that before you record any music, just know why you're doing it. Because in those moments where, and believe me, I'm not going to go into it now because we need like a 3-hour show, but I've been through a lot, like personally as a human being, to stay in this industry. So just know that if you're passionate about music and if you love making music, just know that when you decide to get into the music business industry, is no longer just a hobby. It's no longer just a passion project. Is having that resilience. 100. Yeah, resilience is the name of the game, and consistency. Yeah. If you're willing to be consistent, if you're willing to post once every day on TikTok with your covers or with original music, then you're solid. You're fine. Yeah, I think that's like I'd agree with that point, because sometimes it's frustrating. You'll hear like a really good artist, and like I was saying earlier, like consistency. It's like, but what? It's key. You're frustrating me. Like the last banger was 6 months ago. Why are you not like? Do you know what? I used to have the same frustration, but now I get why they would do that. It's funding. Yeah. You know, it's funding and it's timing, and you know, it's a bit controversial what I'm about to say, but sometimes when you go through the major label system, there's a lot of things in the timeline that is outside your control.
Yeah.
So that's why people don't drop as consistently. That's why if you look at someone like Lil Wayne, right?
Yeah.
When he was dropping his mixtapes, or 50 Cent, when he was dropping his mixtapes, he was flooding the market. They were just saturating the market. Whereas now you would go through SoundCloud, you know, because then you don't have to get samples cleared. You don't have to go through all the minutiae of getting all the paperwork, which is important, you know, signed and sealed and delivered. So yeah, it's an interesting time that we're in, especially talking about AI, because, you know, it's a very big, touchy, sensitive topic, but with everything in the music industry, technology, even DJing, you know, you go from vinyls to then digital CDJs. Every technological advancement, there's always a plus side. So I encourage people to look at it from that lens. Don't be scared of what's unknown. Embrace it and see how you can put it in your own art.
Well said, man. Well, from talking about consistency and putting out songs, this lady is no stranger to that. This is Lizzie Tigra with Soeteo.
Salgo pa la calle, tú miran pa' acá, tú miran pa' acá, tú miran pa'. 15,000 en mi Chanel, salimos a gastar. Llegamos al party, la noche está encendida. Traigan botella que mi gata ya están todas prendidas. Y yo estoy nari. Me pongo diabla cuando suena este perreo. Soy tu deseo, baby, lo veo. El VIP nublado por el fumeteo. Estamos en teteo, que soeteo.
Yes, people, Voices Radio, myself, D-Kel. I always say this, man, it's never enough time, but it's been a pleasure, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah, man, it's been good. It's been a good talk.
100%.
Hopefully we can catch up soon again, man, and hearing a lot of the industry stuff and yeah, thank you. I want to say thank you. You're doing a lot of good stuff for the community.
Thank you.
It gives me more stuff to talk about on my show, so you make my life easier. So yeah, we were talking about consistency there. And so I'm in a band, yeah?
Right.
I'm in a very odd Spanglish punk rock dub, just indecisive genre band. And we were having, about 2022, we had a really good year doing festivals. It was getting a bit of traction.
Nice, congrats.
Played Hootenanny,
dope.
played a few sold out headline shows. So
yeah,
we really thought we was like, we're going to start
momentum.
doing some stuff. Things happen, and also life just happens. Do you know what I mean? So I've not dealt very well. This is kind of how I found myself here. I wanted to be involved in music, but I wanted to be involved in a different way, not just. I always say the best way to do things in groups of 3 with 2 people missing. Right. Because depending on people is not. I'm an only child. I don't really know about Sheen. All I know is I got myself, and I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah.
But I never dealt well with kind of those setbacks. Do you know what I mean? I can't, like, you talking about having that mindset and resilience.
Yes.
Like, I'll be a hypocrite if say I'm that guy. Like, sometimes I'll really be like, no, I'm done with this. I need a solid break, which sometimes is important. But, you know, like you were saying, at one point, you should be coming back and staying consistent. So on that topic of consistency, what would you say, like, how do you deal with those knockbacks or those downfalls? Especially, obviously, your artists, you kind of got each other. So she goes through something, you're kind of like the
therapist.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Right.
That's you know, part of your job is to be that kind of therapist.
100%.
But what would you say to artists who perhaps don't have that kind of team or support network? How would you say to deal with that when there is that lack of morale and consistency?
That's a great question. So me personally, what I do when I'm in those type of spaces, I watch a lot of motivational things. I read a lot of motivational things. Like Defiant Ones is a documentary about Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre. And then that in itself just fuels me up. And sometimes, you know, I go through my Instagram because in my Instagram, I've documented unintentionally my whole journey. And I just go through all the moments where I thought I couldn't keep going, but something happened along the way that inspired me, like meeting Leo Cohen or Kevin Liles or all of these other executives, shaking hands with them and having them acknowledge me as well is been like a spark, because I'm like, wow, if I can only be in the game for less than 5 years and I'm already meeting these executives. Even when I went to Miami, I met the senior vice president of Warner Chappell Latina, and they're just like the so down to earth, humble guys. So for me, when I'm feeling low, I just, even journaling, like I have so many voice notes in my phone of me being like, look, whatever you felt like you couldn't overcome, you're here now. That means you've overcome it. Therefore you can do it again. It's just a case of reminding yourself, positive affirmations. And also, do you know what? And, you know, as a 29-year-old man, I'm not too proud to say sometimes you just need to cry it out. Sometimes you need to really embrace the bottom to go up. You know, you need to just let the emotion, release it, acknowledge it, accept it, surrender to the moment, and then be like, you know what? This is what I love. I know this is my purpose. Hay que hacerlo con ganas el próximo día.
Yeah.
You know, Karol G says it all the time, mañana sería más bonito, you know? So to anyone that's struggling, to anyone that's considering giving up, just remember why you got into it. And also just remember that there's always a rainbow after a rainy day. Like, it can't be understated. Like, you always can have another day that you can go back and try again. Eminem, look at his story. He got booed. He almost died 2 times. He got like demoralized time and after again. But what kept him going is his passion and knowing that music, bro, will last forever. You know, your contribution to music, no matter if no one knows your name, you have a radio station here and you're giving myself a platform. I'm giving my artists a platform, and that's a drop in the ocean, but that ocean will always be remembered, bro. You know, so you matter, people matter that are in the industry, whether there's validation through streams or not. You know,
well, I think if you listen to this show and you don't have a good rest of the week, then there's no hope for you, boy. Because boy, Pablo, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you. So please remind us, Casita, when is the event?
The 19th of November.
19th of November, man.
Yes.
Well, yeah, man, pull up. It's gonna be vibes. But yeah, we're saying that. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been Voices Radio. Myself, D-Kel. We're going out with this one, Valenci's Peligro.
Llegó con la pinta, wow, wow, y también su amiga, wow, wow, que la viera bajando, wow, wow, que Dios me libre del pecado. Llegó con la pinta, wow, wow, y también su amiga, wow, wow, que la viera bajando, wow, wow, que Dios me libre del pecado. Resorte.